Hello and welcome to How to Pay for Grad School Before, During, and After. As the title suggests, paying for grad school is something you need to plan for not only before you start, but it also will need to be managed during graduate school. And lastly, after you've completed your program, it's important to know your repayment and possibly loan forgiveness options. This webinar was developed by the Office of Graduate and Professional Studies in conjunction with the Office of Financial Aid at St. Mary's College. It is designed to be an overview of financial aid available to graduate students, but is not intended to replace information or advice provided directly by the Financial Aid Office. My goal in the next 40 minutes is to demonstrate how you can pay for your graduate studies without risking your financial security in the future. Here are some things to consider. Remember, timing is everything. Apply for financial aid at the same time you are applying for admission to your program of study to allow sufficient time for processing. This is normally 6 to 8 weeks. Be prepared in all aspects of your life: budget, family, health, personal mindset, other life events or obligations. You may need to adjust your lifestyle in terms of spending. You need to realize that no one funding source is going to cover all your costs, so think diversification and give yourself enough time to do the proper research. You almost certainly will need to take out a loan, but there are ways to offset that cost. There are many possible sources of financial aid in addition to federal loans. There's the SMC payment plan. There are grants, assistantships or fellowships, work-study, scholarships, private loans, employer reimbursement, or veterans or dependents of veterans benefits. And speaking of veterans, St. Mary's is a yellow ribbon school. For graduate students and professional students and non-traditional undergraduate students who don't need to take out a loan but just need to be able to divide their tuition into more manageable payments, a 3-month payment plan is administered by the St. Mary's Business Office for fall and spring, and a 2-month plan for summer. The cost is $25 per term. Remember, a new application contract must be turned in before the start of each term for which you want to be on a payment plan. You can contact the business office for more information. Unfortunately, international students are not eligible for federal loans and grants. These students should explore home country-based or government-sponsored scholarships, school-specific scholarships, or private loans, which usually require a U.S. sponsor. There are several different types of assistantships, as you can see from this list. The direct and indirect benefits of an assistantship are fairly obvious. These positions are usually paid in the form of reduced tuition and/or a stipend for living expenses. Normally, a student will be assigned to a specific department and asked to work a certain number of hours per week or teach a specific number of classes. Besides the experience and funding, the networking opportunities are phenomenal. St. Mary's College offers assistantships or fellowships in the MFA in Creative Writing and the MA in Kinesiology programs. Details can be found on their program websites. In terms of the types and sources of scholarships, here are a few. School-specific or program-specific. Here at St. Mary's, the School of Education, the Graduate School of Business, the MFA in Creative Writing, the MA in Kinesiology, and MFA in Dance all offer partial scholarships for incoming or current students. Details can be found on their program websites. Professional associations or organizations in your field of study often offer scholarships. Some examples include the California Association of School Counselors, the National Association of School Psychologists, and the American Association of University Women. Disadvantaged or underrepresented categories often have scholarships. For example, minorities, like the Hispanic Association of Schools and Colleges, single mothers, the disabled, veterans, women returning to the workforce are some other examples. The SMC Library, St. Mary's College Library, provides access to databases and catalogs for students interested in finding assistance with grants, scholarships, subsidies, government aid, and loans. And finally, search the web for scholarships. FastWeb, Peterson's, Student Scholarship Search, gradcu.com are some examples of scholarship search websites. And let me pause here and just say that you will receive an email from me tomorrow with all of these links and URLs listed. So don't worry about scrambling to write them all down during the webinar. In addition, UCLA offers a free searchable database called the Graduate and Postdoctoral Extramural Support, otherwise known as GRAPES. It contains information on over 600 private and publicly funded scholarships, grants, fellowships, and postdoctoral awards for graduate study, master's thesis, or doctoral dissertation research, study and research abroad, postdoctoral research, and more. Remember, when you research scholarship opportunities, be sure to note the application deadlines and award timeframes. And while you can apply for scholarships, being awarded one is not a given. So my advice is to make sure you've applied for a loan amount sufficient to cover your needs. Then, if you were awarded a scholarship, you can always decline a disbursement of your loan for a particular term. Everyone should complete the FAFSA, which stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid, in case your financial circumstances change mid-year. Even if you don't intend to take out a loan, some need-based scholarships will require you to complete a FAFSA. A new FAFSA must be submitted at the beginning of every calendar year, but you are funded based on the courses taken during the academic year, which runs July 1st through June 30th. So for example, today I had a question, an email from someone who said, should they file a FAFSA for academic year 15-16 or for academic year 16-17? And they were starting in the summer. I told them that they needed to fill out the FAFSA for academic year 16-17, since summer is the header term for the new academic year. Submitting a FAFSA automatically initiates the loan process for you. If you decide that you don't want a loan down the road, then do let the financial aid office know. And a word of advice, the correct URL to access FAFSA is www.fafsa.ed.gov. There is something called FAFSA.com, but it's not the same thing. And although they are a student financial services company, they will charge you to fill out a form which is already free. In addition to FAFSA, you will end up going to the studentloans.gov website to complete graduate entrance counseling and execute your master promissory note for the direct loan. The entire financial aid process can be handled via phone or email at your convenience. That's not to say you can't go into the financial aid office and talk to somebody, but if it's not convenient, everything can be handled via email and the phone. There are two types of student loans, unsubsidized direct and Graduate Plus. The direct loan is $20,500 per year with a lifetime maximum of $138,500. Everyone, no matter what your circumstances, qualifies for the $20,500 a year, $20,500 a year as a full-time graduate student. This is unless you have previously defaulted on a federal loan. But barring that, you will be eligible for that $20,500 loan amount as a full-time graduate student. For Grad Plus loans, there is no maximum amount. However, you are not eligible for Grad Plus if you have adverse credit history, like a bankruptcy, late payer status, defaulting on a loan, or excessive credit card debt. You need to apply only once at the beginning of your program for the direct loan, but you must reapply every year for Grad Plus. You can always decline a disbursement during a specific term if you get a scholarship. Remember, if your program offers a Jan term, there is no regular disbursement of financial aid at that time. So you will need to arrange for those funds, the funds you need to cover Jan term, to be added to the preceding fall term disbursement if you're enrolled in fall, or the following spring term disbursement. And you can talk to the business office directly to make sure they understand that you do have financial aid coming for Jan term. Don't assume that they know. And you can also talk to them about the possibility of waiving the late fee, since you won't be paying for Jan term until you get your spring term disbursement in February. But I can't guarantee they'll waive it, but it's worth asking. You must apply for the Grad Plus loan at studentloans.gov. So you only need to do the FAFSA if all you require is the direct loan for $20,500. But if you also need a Grad Plus loan to make up the differential between the cost of the program, including living expenses, and the direct loan, what the direct loan provides, then you will need to go to studentloans.gov to apply for Graduate Plus. This shows the standard repayment model for a direct loan, which is the default for anyone coming out of deferment. Remember, if you don't indicate otherwise, when you go, you will automatically be placed in the standard repayment program 6 months after you finish your program of study. Here's an example of a $10,000 Grad Plus loan repayment. This shows the standard repayment model for Grad Plus loan. And as you can see, the Grad Plus interest rate is slightly higher. Because your student loans can substantially affect your overall credit and vice versa, it's worth the time to spend a few moments on financial literacy. You may have heard of the term FICO, which stands for Fair, Isaac and Company, which is the most common score type. The most important thing to remember is that credit scores are fluid because they are recalculated after every credit inquiry is made. FICO considers how you are paying your accounts, how much money you currently owe, how long your accounts have been open, what different types of credit you use, and how much credit you use compared to the amount of credit you have available. Also, how often and how recently have you applied for credit. And I'll just pause here and mention that although you may not use all your credit cards, perhaps you've tucked away a few so that you won't use them. Unless you close those accounts, they will still impact your credit score potentially in a negative way. So if you are not using credit cards and you don't intend to use them again, by all means cancel them outright. Your FICO score does not take into consideration the following: your age, your race, religion, sex, marital status, occupation, salary, employment history, where you live, child family support obligations, rental agreements, and other student loans and deferments. If you are denied credit, ask the lender for score reasons, because understanding those reasons can help you improve your FICO score over time, and it is your right to ask why when you are denied credit. You can improve credit behavior by making loan credit payments on time, reducing open lines of credit, especially newer credit, keeping balances low, or better yet, paying in full monthly. You can correct inaccurate information, and you should do so. Make sure your information is updated and dispute all mistakes. Remember, you can improve, but you cannot repair poor credit. Bad credit stays with you for 10 years. So credit repair services are really a waste of money. You can find out your total loan debt in detail by going to the National Student Loan Data System. Repayment usually begins 6 months after graduation, and there are several different options you can look into. Standard repayment, which is the default plan I mentioned earlier, income-based repayment, pay-as-you-earn repayment, and income contingent repayment. Here's some important information about repaying your loans. Set up payments automatically through your bank account so you reduce the chances of late or missing checks. Remember, the standard repayment period for student loans is 10 years. So on the standard repayment model, you will pay a monthly amount that will allow your loan to be paid off in 10 years. Use the government's National Student Loan Data System to track your federal student loans. Consider opting for or applying for an income-based repayment plan to allow your monthly payment to be capped at 10 to 15% of your disposable income. Stay current with the law. The Project on Student Debt and the National Consumer Law Center's Student Loan Borrower Assistance Project have the latest and greatest on student loan development. If you end up in a dispute with your lender, the Federal Student Aid Ombudsman may be able to help resolve the problem. For private loans, you could be in default as soon as you miss a payment. Private lenders' collection powers are not as strong, but this is still debt you owe. If you default on either your private or your federal loan, and your federal loan is usually considered delinquent after 9 months, it will affect your credit and could prevent you from securing a credit card, mortgage, apartment, or job. So it's really important to stay on top of it. Rather than missing payments, you can request a deferment. This is a temporary suspension of payment, and you're eligible if you enroll in school, if you are unemployed, you face economic hardship, or due to disability, certain military service, or following active duty. Another option is forbearance, and forbearances are temporary postponements or reductions because of financial hardship. Remember though, in both cases, your interest on the loan continues to accrue during either deferment or forbearance. Income-driven plans are designed for those in repayment experiencing partial economic hardship or whose outstanding federal student loan debt is higher than their annual income or represents a significant portion of their annual income. You must apply for these repayment options. Again, and you must continue to apply for them every year that you want to utilize them. So many people, when these payment plans first came into existence, they applied for them the first year and then didn't apply the second year, and they reverted to standard repayment. So you must apply every year, and you must provide your income taxes, upload your income taxes from the previous year in order to qualify. So there's been, since these came into existence just recently in October, there was some revision which made these income-based plans even more favorable. So there was a revised income-based repayment, IBR, and also revised pay-as-you-earn repayment, now known as REPAY, and also income contingent repayment. So the new income-based repayment is capped at 10% of your disposable income, and you are eligible for forgiveness after 20 years of payment. You will use an online tool at studentloans.gov to transfer your tax information annually to confirm that you are eligible for this particular payment plan. The pay-as-you-earn repayment, or now the REPAY, revised pay-as-you-earn, is a graduated repayment based on your earnings and how they increase over time. Initially, payments are capped at 10% of your disposable income, and you are eligible for forgiveness for your graduate loans after 25 years of payment. Undergraduate loans are eligible for forgiveness after 20 years of payment. And then income contingent repayment extends the repayment over time, but also extends the interest paid. So, and this is true really of all these plans. Payments are capped at 20% of disposable income, and you're eligible for forgiveness after 25 years of payment. So really, honestly, the REPAY or the IBR are the two most attractive plans to consider. And here's a table that shows you what monthly payments would be under income-based repayment or pay-as-you-earn at various income levels. Now, as you can see, it makes those payments much more affordable and proportionate to the income level of the payer. Again, just to be clear, your monthly payment under these income-based plans is not based on the amount you owe, but based on your income. So it obviously makes it much more affordable than the standard repayment in most cases. So income-based repayment or pay-as-you-earn repayment, coupled with working for 10 years in a school or a hospital, the military, working in government, really any job in the nonprofit sector would qualify as eligible employment for public service loan forgiveness. So this is, in this instance, where these other, under income-based repayment, your loan is eligible for forgiveness after 20 or 25 years. If you've been serving in public service, then your loan is eligible for forgiveness after 10 years, which is obviously a much better arrangement. The only disclaimer with public service loan forgiveness is that that loan amount that ends up being forgiven could be viewed as untaxed income in the future. But that's certainly probably the lesser you know, it still makes that option attractive for most people. Mental behavioral health clinicians can get up to $50,000 to repay student loans with a 2-year commitment to work at an approved National Health Service Corps site in a high-need or underserved area in the United States. Payment is at the beginning of your service so that loans can be paid down more quickly. This is obviously quite attractive. And you can go to their website, the NHSC website, to see where these clinics are located. Also, the California Mental Health Loan Assumption Program, which was created and funded by Proposition 63, the Mental Health Services Act of 2004, is available for eligible applicants, and this would include MFT, LPCC, or school psychologists. They can receive up to $10,000 to repay educational loans, and they meet their service obligation by committing to 12 months of service employment in a hard-to-fill or retain position within the county public mental health services. Students may apply for the TEACH grant if they are enrolled in a state-approved teacher preparation program and they agree to teach for 4 years in a low-income or low-performing school. If you do not complete the service commitment, this up to $4,000 grant will turn into a loan. So this has changed recently. It used to be the case that only single subject credential students in math, science, foreign language, or special education were eligible for the TEACH grant. But now in California, really all fields of study, including the multiple subject credential, are considered high need areas. And so really anybody pursuing a teaching credential that's willing to teach in a low income or low performing school following graduation is eligible for the TEACH grant and can apply. Again, I would not do it though if you're not willing to perform the service, because it will only just turn into an unsubsidized loan in the end. Also, highly qualified credentialed teachers who have a federal Stafford or direct loan and have been employed as a full-time teacher for 5 complete and consecutive academic term years, in a Title I elementary or secondary school, and this is usually a low-income or low-performing school, are eligible for loan forgiveness. And benefits can range from $5,000 to $17,000 depending on the school and the subjects taught. Eligible schools are listed in the annual directory of designated low-income schools for teacher cancellation benefits, which you can find on the federal direct loan website. The Lifetime Learning Credit offers up to $2,000 per tax return for each year you pay for college. To qualify, your modified adjusted gross income cannot exceed $63,000 for single tax filers or $127,000 for those who are married and filing jointly. Qualified education expenses do not include insurance, medical expenses, including student health fees, room and board, transportation, or similar personal living or family expenses. So really just tuition and books qualify here. There is another tax credit called the American Opportunity Tax Credit, which is $2,500 per eligible student for qualified education expenses during the first 4 years of higher education. So really for graduate students, this would only apply if you are completing your undergraduate degree and starting your graduate degree in the same year. And so this is somewhat limited in who can take advantage of this. But the important thing is you can take advantage of one credit or the other, but not both. So pick whichever one gives you the lowest tax. So just to summarize, it's important to develop a funding plan. It's important to stay organized. Get organized and stay organized and keep good records. Develop or modify your budget as you go, depending on the need. Make sure you follow developments and changes in the law. Just since I've been doing these webinars, which is for about 2 years now, there have been several changes in the law. So that's why I continually update them, and I don't distribute these slides because I do update them on a regular basis. And you should also review your plan regularly to make sure that you don't, if you need to make changes, that you do. Also new this year is the SALT Financial Literacy Program. This is available to you throughout your time at St. Mary's and also as an alum. This is a value-added service that not every school will offer. It's provided by the St. Mary's Financial Aid Office and is an online tool that gives you help managing your finances and loan repayment, as well as loan debt counseling and advocacy. There's even a job, internship, and scholarship search function. So this is a great tool, and again, it is something that not every school will offer, but St. Mary's does, and as an additional advantage to attending St. Mary's. So with that, I'm going to conclude the webinar. If you have any questions now, please type them in and I will attempt to answer them. Also, you will be receiving an email from me providing links to many of the topics we discussed today. There is also I'm also recording this webinar today, so if you'd like to listen to it again, you can find it on the Graduate and Professional Studies website. If you look at the left-hand navigation, once you go to the Graduate and Professional Studies website, if you look under Student Resources and click on that, and then click again on in the left-hand nav under Financial Aid, at the bottom of that page, you will find a YouTube recording of the webinar that you can click on and listen to. So give me a chance to post this new recording. What's currently posted is last month's webinar, and I have made some changes in the webinar since last month, so it'd be better to wait until tomorrow to access the webinar. And you'll have, I believe in my email, I'll also give you, reiterate specifics on how to access the recording. So I want to thank you for attending the webinar. I hope you found it beneficial, and I hope that after listening you do feel confident that you can pay for your graduate studies without risking financial security in the future. Okay, so I'm going to pause here and I'll read the questions for everybody and then attempt to answer them. Anything you don't, you think of after we've concluded today, you're welcome to email me directly. So this is Alex. He wants to know, does repayment account for adjusted gross income for both my wife and I jointly? Yes, it does. Yes, it does include, it does look at both of you. Mark wants to know, what are scholarships available for incoming grad students? Okay, maybe you joined late, but I did do a whole section on incoming grad students. All of the programs offer them, and at St. Mary's for incoming students. So the best way to, best thing to do there is to go to the either if it's graduate education, the leadership program falls under graduate education, by the way. Look under financial aid there. Look under scholarships there, or graduate business, the MFA programs, etc. So you can get specific information for what St. Mary's offers there. And then I also did include a whole slide of other places that you can look for scholarships outside of exterior to St. Mary's. Excuse me. When is aid dispersed for each, this is Brian, for each semester and how? So if you, for example, spring, you will be billed for spring term middle of the first month of the term. So the middle of February, probably the middle of September. Summer It's a little different. You can check with the business office. You will be billed then, but your financial aid will be posted to your Gale Express account. And once you become, once you've applied and been accepted and deposited as an incoming student, then you'll be assigned a St. Mary's email address as well as access to Gale Express, and that's where your financial aid will be posted. And you will, all communications from St. Mary's will come through your St. Mary's email address. So it's important to check that. You can have it forwarded to your personal email address if you prefer, and make it more convenient for you. Let's see. When is aid dispersed? So I think I answered that question. Someone's asking, will prior graduate loans be deferred once enrolled in a new program? Yes, your loans go into deferment once you go into a new program. Lynn, I recently got accepted into the master's program. I don't have a student ID yet or parking pass. Do I still have access to St. Mary's Library to access the catalogs and databases? No, you will need to do scholarship researches. I don't know when you're starting. If you're starting in spring, you should be getting your student ID, etc., fairly soon here. So you should be able to access the catalogs and databases as soon as you get that. You might be able to visit and talk to the librarians. You just wouldn't be able to check anything out, and most of these databases and catalogs you can't check out anyway. So you might be able to go in and talk to the librarians if they physically have any catalogs that you could look at, or you know, see, given that you've been accepted to the program, it's possible they might be willing to help. The librarians are great and very helpful. Give it a try. Oh, you're starting in June and July. Okay. Yeah, you probably won't get your student ID and all of that until probably June, I would guess. Okay, I think that's the last question I have. I'll pause here for a minute and see if anybody else has any additional questions. I think I've covered all the ones that were. Like I say, if you think of something after today or later this afternoon, feel free to contact me directly. And I've also provided the financial aid office's contact information. And the person that answers the phone there will be knowledgeable about graduate student loans. So feel comfortable that you can access it. Oh, someone wants to know about the recording. Okay, in the email you get tomorrow, you'll get this information. But if you go to graduate, and as I said, I would wait until either later this afternoon or tomorrow to access the recording, because I'm going to post this recording. And what's up there right now is last month's recording. So, but you go to the Graduate and Professional Studies web page at the St. Mary's College website. You, in the left-hand navigation pane, you will see one of the areas you can click on is Student Resources. If you click on Student Resources, then there'll be another choice, which drop-down menu, and one of them is Financial Aid. You click on Financial Aid, and then that will take you to that page. If you scroll to the bottom of the page, the YouTube video is actually posted there. Okay. And let's see, one more. Thank you, very helpful, Cherise. Okay, you're welcome, Cherise. So with that, I think we'll conclude the webinar for today. Again, thank you so much. I really hope to be seeing you around campus. Be sure and say hello, and have a great rest of the day.